What's going on, everybody? Welcome to session one of essentially how what's going on in my mind really informs and guides what's going on the paper. This is how experiences with white allies had me trying not to hate white people, and how that feeling led me to the discovery of some incredible white comrades. Part one. Let's get into it. So why this topic and why now? Well, I've been thinking about the concept of white comrades versus white allies for years. Watching Congressman Al Green stand alone recently with no support from Democrats, it really had me wanting to memorialize that on the page. When asked on the Breakfast Club why other Dems didn't stand up and walk out with him, as he was forcibly thrown out of chambers, Congressman Green was very simple and direct. He said, "I had no expectation that Dems would back me. I stood because of the people that I represent who cannot be there to stand for themselves." He goes on to say, you got to step across the line of civility and decide to not let others proceed with injustice. I really resonated with that. But not only did these folks not walk out with this man, but 10 Democrats, all either white or white adjacent, voted to censure him. Now, one of those, this woman, Congresswoman Laura Gillen, when she was asked why she voted to censor Congressman Green, she said in part, "There's a certain level of decorum and civility that really should be adhered to on the floor. If Democrats want Republicans to adhere to these standards, then we have to make sure our own colleagues adhere to the same standard." This was in an interview on News Nation's The Hill. Now, Gillen, in my opinion, is an ally. I'm sure she means well. To me, this is akin to knowing the neighborhood next to you is burning to the ground and not calling the fire department because you don't want the sirens to wake the neighbors. So, shh, let's be civil. We'll let that burn down for now. Allies, in my opinion, are noodle-backed shapeshifters that bend to any need, promising any proximity to the levers of power. They don't have any integrity. There is no risk too small for them to dodge. Now, comrades, on the other hand, are those who will stand next to you in battle, those who will wield a sword. They expect to sacrifice for the greater collective good. So, are there any examples of white comrades? Those doing the work of talking to their own people and marching in lockstep with the oppressed? Why, yes. Yes. In fact, there's so many. And in a three-part series, I want to highlight just a few of those. And we're going to start with legendary abolitionist Laura Haviland. Meanwhile, on the board, I'll be working on what I'm calling, for now, the I. So, who is Laura Haviland? Back in the 1800s, she was known as Aunt Laura. Here she is holding a knee straightener and a collar, two weapons that were used to torture black folks during enslavement. According to the Black Book, as compiled by Middleton A. Harris and Toni Morrison in 1974, Laura Haviland was a white resident of Adrian, Michigan, for whom slave owners, as they were called, I call them what they were, human traffickers, they offered a reward of $3,000 for Laura Haviland, dead or alive. Now, despite these threats to her life, she still went from state to state to state working on abolition, and she harbored enslaved folks at the time referred to fugitive slaves. Now, I just want to take a second. Black people were called fugitive slaves. So fugitive and slave were in the same breath. That means being a fugitive was illegal. So enslavement was a legal mandate for black people at this time. So when these people in the government are talking about mandate this, mandate that, we got to be careful about that, what that means and what we allow ourselves to accept. Anyway, Laura Haviland harbored black folks and helped them reach free soil by way of the Underground Railroad. Now, I'm thinking she had to know Harriet Tubman. What y'all think? Anyway, Aunt Laura, because that's my auntie too now, She was kidnapped and held captive by these human traffickers. She was ordered to write a letter to the black family that was on her farm to tell them to come to Toledo, Ohio, where she was being held captive. Now here's the cold-blooded Shiro part. So Aunt Laura was like, bet, I'm gonna write this letter. In it, she told the black family at her residence to take the black alpaca dress in the south bedroom and the 2 pink gingham aprons and striped green dress in the bureau in the west bedroom for the little girls. Now, I love a good fashion detail. So the family got the letter, and Miss Elsie, the black mom, said, quote, "I shall not stir a step. This is all humbug. Miss Haviland doesn't have a black dress. There is no south bedroom and no bed in the west room. No pink aprons nor any green striped dress," end quote. So, in effect, she sent a code letter to keep her folks protected, even under extreme duress and threat of harm. This is a white woman. Why y'all think they don't teach us about this stuff? So Miss Haviland dodged the death of her own humanity by standing up for humans in general at all costs. I want to leave you with this. This is from Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. In it, she writes, "No current day adults will be alive in the year in which African Americans as a group will have been free for as long as they have been enslaved. That will not come until the year 2111. Now, conversely, this also means that no current day adult will be alive in the year in which white people as a group will have been living among so-called free black folks for as long as they had been human trafficking black people for their own economic enrichment." Now, 2111 is 86 years from now. So allies, they'll sit back and with civility and decorum as we slide back into these times. And I'm not exaggerating that. If you look at who is behind the curtain of this administration, this is not an exaggeration. But comrades, I see y'all out there fighting. You know the battle ain't never ended. You know it's just morphed, whether it be the brutality against black people during Reconstruction, sharecropping, the Red Summer of 1919, the Black Codes, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, etc., etc., etc. I could go all day. You know we just next on the front lines. So you know what you have to do. And with that, let's slide into part 2. In part 2, we're going to talk anti-Vietnam War musician John Lennon and John Sinclair, who was the founder of the White Panther Party. Yeah, you heard it right. And I'll share a little bit with you about how my real life experiences with allies made me go hunting for comrades. For now, check out what I've drawn so far, and I'll share the architectural inspiration of this part of the drawing in part 3 of this series as it is relevant to that person in this series. For now, I am the artist El Haz, and this is The Rise of El Haz. Signing off. Peace.